Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be looking at our cultural mask project in our ceramics class. Big thing we're doing, actual size masks for this project. Now, I have my tool set, they're already out. I have my rolling pin, I have my guideline sticks, I have some nice wood and metal carving tools along with my palette knife, and I've already taken out some fresh clay out of the bag. Now, this project is very open to where you want to go because cultures have existed all over the world and so many of them have used masks. We can look at Japan. We have a Hanya mask here, many masks that they've used in theater. We can go to Africa and see some of the tribal masks that they have used throughout the centuries and centuries. We have Native American masks. We can go to South America and see Aztec masks. The options are seemingly endless, but what we don't want to have are simple, kind of basic masks. For this project, we do want a pretty solid level of complexity. Now, the first thing I'm doing here is simply just rolling out that big batch of clay that I had. Uh, I could spend some time using the guide sticks right now, but it was such a big chunk of clay. I'm generally getting a pretty broad thickness throughout this entire piece, and then I'm going to use the guide sticks later to make sure that it's pretty nice and even. I don't want this to be really, really thin piece of clay. If it's a thin piece of clay, it's not going to have the best structural integrity. When it is using these kind of thicker sticks, these sticks are about a quarter of an inch. When we use a little bit thicker clay, it's going to really help just like that structural integrity in the end piece of this project. It's going to help prevent rips later on and even cracking and stuff like that too, because it's going to dry out a lot slower compared to if it was really thin piece of clay. Right now, what I'm going to do, since I've rolled it out, I've used the guideline sticks. It's a really big piece of clay. I'm going to put that to the side. And right now, I'm actually going to do something to where I want us to have this mask to go around our face. It has to have a curve like any face and mask should. So I'm going to use newspaper. I'm going to clump together this newspaper. I can use 5, 6, maybe 7 pieces, depending on how big you're going with this piece. But I'm going to get a kind of sense of direction of how I want this mask to end up looking, where I really want this to go. And I can clump these pieces of paper together. I can use tape to even kind of keep them in a similar kind of like bunched up direction. But the negative thing about paper is that it can absorb moisture. And if it absorbs moisture, that means it can actually dry your clay out really, really quick. So what I'm going to also do with this paper, as soon as I kind of get into that shape and form that I'm going to use for this project, I'm going to cover it with a plastic bag. When I use this plastic bag, it's going to prevent that moisture from being absorbed and not have our clay dry out very quickly. For this project, I'm going Ancient Aztec, and I'm going to be using this beautiful example of a mask. I like the birds that are on the side and a lot of the details that are on this mask and everything too. I think the level of complexity is there without being overwhelming, because some masks have an insane amount of detail. And for time's sake for this video, I'm going to go with, I would say, like a medium version of this. But you can see right now, I'm cutting off some of the excess clay. I'm going to just store that on the side in case I need to use it later. This is the time to where, as I'm putting this clay down, and you could see my hands were kind of messing around with the paper that was in the bag. And I'm just trying to kind of figure out that form that I want to use for this project. The mask for the ancient Aztec mask that I was looking into was pretty round, so I was able to kind of keep pretty circular shape. So I'm just kind of getting the feel, the form of it and everything. And right now, I kind of got ahead of myself. I was looking at the reference photo and I saw that, it kind of had looked like a headband going across the forehead. And then I got right into the eyes and everything, and I should have slowed down here and I didn't. And you're going to see at this point, I'm probably actually looking back at the reference photo going, ooh, the nose isn't looking centered. The eyes are looking, misplaced where they are. So I'm actually just kind of rubbing this out. And now I'm going back over and going, Okay, slow down. Let's find the center. So I did a nice center line on the circle. Uh, and now I'm just using the wood tools to simply try and get placements down. This isn't anything super permanent. I'm not trying to carve through the clay or anything like that, but I'm just trying to figure out placement. And if I'm happy with the placement, perfect. I can continue forward. If there are adjustments that I need to make, this is the time to where I can make those adjustments. And you can see I started with the nose, got down to the lips. I'm getting placement where the eyes are going to go. There's a lot of detail on the top part of this mask. But right now, I'm just kind of getting that simple layout going. Again, once I'm satisfied with where things are, I can go in and I can, be a little bit heavier with my markings. I'm starting to just kind of find placements here and everything too. And while this is going on, I kind of want to go back and reiterate that putting the rolled up, the crunched up newspaper, uh, really helps kind of sell the form of the mask that I want to take. If this was one of those African tribal masks, a lot of those tend to be really really long, and I would put that newspaper according to that as well. Um, but while it's nice to kind of bunch that paper up, I think the best thing to do is to use the plastic bag to go around it. And like I said, that's just going to prevent it from drying out. I can't tell you how many times to where I would have students that did not use the plastic bag and their projects would dry out twice as quick. It would just take a few days and it's already getting to that bone dry placement. So that plastic bag really helps, you able to kind of gauge and really try and have some control of how fast your clay is going to dry. All right. So now back to what I'm doing. Again, I'm generally just kind of getting layouts in here. There's a lot that this mask will end up getting. But for now, this is just kind of that basic approach. I'm looking at the face. I'm getting those little measurement cues. There's this like beautiful bird creature. I don't know if it's a bird god or anything like that. I should do a little bit more research into this mask. But there's a bird that's on top of the head. There's like two birds, or there's a bird on each side of this bird and everything too. Wings coming off the side. I mean, it's gorgeous detail. But I'm generally just kind of getting the layout here. Not trying to go, super, super crazy. I'm not adding anything onto it. I'm just getting the layout. And this is probably one of the more important things too, is that I just want to get the basics first. A lot of people tend to jump into this and they want to build it immediately and get the layout done in 10 minutes. That's not how it's always going to happen. For me personally, it seems to work out a lot better when I get the simple things done first. Complexity can come later on, and I can just kind of build into this. Right now, I'm adding on the ears. You can see my finger wagging there. I'm saying don't do little tiny scores. I want to really dig into this clay and really score it. There I am again saying, do I just want to like hit the little palette knife down? I don't want to do that. I want to make nice tread for my clay to adhere to. Got it wet and everything before that. On both sides, on the mask side and on the ear side, this is like an ear with a huge, piercing stone that's going to be on it and everything as well. And right here, I'm just kind of mirroring it. I want them to be on each side around the same size, so I'm trying to keep that as symmetrical as possible. But scoring has been something that seems to be a make or break for a lot of students in their work. If you don't score properly, it has a high chance of breaking off. You want to give your clay as much grip as possible, and sometimes it's like the messier the better. So I'm going in there, scoring. You'll see me dip my fingers into the water. And I know some ceramics teachers are pretty big users of having slip. I'm a firm believer that, especially when we have wet clay like we have right now, pretty moist, it's not dried out or anything. If you're scoring and you're getting water into it, it should create that slip for you. That slip and the score marks are going to be the glue for this project. When we want to get these ears on and everything later on, I should be carving out the kind of like earring parts that are on this mask. Um, but you can see I'm just kind of going over those lines. I try to kind of push it inwards and everything too, even though it is kind of like a little fragile part of this mask, but I'm going in there. And here is probably one of the bigger parts besides that, when we get into the bird and everything on the forehead, the nose. Now you can see I'm going around, I'm scoring it out, scoring it out. Uh, Again, I'm not trying to cut through the clay, but I'm trying to make it messy. I want little pieces of clay to pop up because all that's going to do is add grip for the fresh clay when we put this on as well. So right now it's a little out of view, but you can see now I'm trying to kind of like form that nose shape. I had a big chunk of clay, but now I'm taking clay off. And this is, kind of like a sculptural time to where I'll probably end up carving some of this nose out when I flip this mask over later on. But at this time, I'm getting the placement down. Once I feel that I was pretty okay with it, I got some water down in there and everything too. And now I'm just kind of sculpting out that nose that's on there. I had the basic kind of layout of where that nose is going to go, where the nostrils are, the ball part of the nose. I'm smoothly getting that bridge to go into that forehead and everything too. So, you'll see me kind of go back and forth. I'm almost like scraping some of that clay off of the surface. But this is really actually getting to like the basic layout of the face. It's, I know this is kind of going quickly and everything. I'll get the nose on here. I'll get the lips. I'll cut out where the eyes are and everything. But this is the basic layout of our mask project. This is something to where I've looked at the detail. I'm adding this stuff in. And, is this something that has to take me 3 hours to get, the start of this mask? No. I did some research. I looked into many, many different cultures, and I went into South American cultures. For me personally, I had a very good professor in college. He was obsessed with Aztec and ancient Incan artwork. And so that definitely kind of rubbed off on me. So when, we have a cultural mask project, I already knew I was going to lean in that direction. But you can see here, I'm starting to get, pretty basic foundation for this mask. Doing the research, checking out different cultures, not just the first thing that pops up on Google Images. Finding one that's interesting, that has some level of complexity, and I'm starting to build this up. This is the earrings right now that are going onto the earlobes, so I'm kind of rolling those out. It's a little off the screen, but I'm kind of tracing them so they're the same size and everything as well. But this is what I want you guys to think about when it comes to this stuff. This process and everything. I think probably the biggest thing out of this process that I want you guys to think about is using crumpled up newspaper to really kind of give your mask form, to make it round, because the worst thing to do is you roll out the clay and it's flat on your board and you add all these wonderful features to it and it looks so detailed flat on the board, but then when we fire it and you take it off and you place it next to your face, it's kind of like holding just a very heavy piece of cardboard. It's nice when the mask kind of curves around your face and everything too. Makes it a little bit more lively. And that's what we want to do for this project. We want to make this a little bit more lively. We should at this point know how to score. We know kind of the sculptural method of adding things onto it, like the nose and carving out some of the like underside, and I will be doing that if I, when I get under the mask, I'll go under and kind of carve out some of the areas of the nose so it's not too thick. But this is that part to where, we're getting the basics out of this mask. We're adding this in. I probably spent a total of 40 minutes on this myself. Again, this wasn't something where I want you guys to spend 5 hours making, just the basic outline of of your clay mask. I'm obviously going to have to put a lot more time into the higher detailed part, which is going to be the top part of the mask where it has the bird facing out and the birds that are going to be on the side and everything of the head ornament that's on this head. But it's a really nice start to a project. So, big thing that I'd push, if you are going to choose this project, what mask are you doing and why? What does this mask mean to the culture? What did it represent? The worst thing that you can do is, I chose this mask because it's easy. We want this project to be as good as possible and have some nice thought into it. But this is the video. Hope you guys enjoyed the demonstration, and by any means, let me know if you have any questions. I'll see you guys in class.